Welcome back. We're en route to the G20 meeting coming up in November. In the run-up, the third Global Partnership for Financial Inclusion meeting has taken place, and it's been established that the workplace is key to unlocking financial inclusion. Lorraine Mekwa, member of B20 Finance and Infrastructure Taskforce and managing executive of client experience at Sanlam Corporate, joins us to explore how global conversations around financial inclusion are playing out for South African employers and workers. Thank you so much for your time, Lorraine. Let's actually start off there with that concept of financial inclusion, because at face value, it seems simple to define that everybody should have access to the financial system. But there's certain, I guess, dynamics and nuances that we don't really talk about often to fully define the concept. Just lay the table on us for this.
Yeah. So thank you for having me. So I think financial inclusion is about ensuring that everyone has got all of the products that they need for where they are in their life. And that, you know, it meets them where they are.
Yeah.
And in its simplest form, if I can just, that's what we're really meaning about.
Yeah. All right. So now we're talking about workplace dynamics being a tool for financial inclusion. And considering how important the employment landscape is in a country like South Africa that is dealing with extremely high unemployment, why is the workplace then underutilized for widening financial inclusion?
Yeah. So I think let me first talk about the opportunity and then say how that opportunity is being underutilized.
Okay.
So if you consider employers, how they think about their responsibility to provide a employer value proposition. So they want to attract the best people, the smartest people. So they make sure that they want to support these people in their time of need. So if you are sick, if you are maybe disabled, if you were to even pass away, there is all sorts of benefits that they give you in order to be able to take care of the things that you need to take care in your life. And that access is something that doesn't need a lot of actions from the individual. You get it as part of being employed. So you don't need to understand these products in a lot of different ways. There is such an ease and access that you wouldn't normally get when you go and you buy these things in retail industries. And it's also cheaper. Just the access is much easier. So what we're saying is that opportunity is not being used adequately, because part of what we're seeing in some of the research that we do, I'll give an example, is in 2025 we did research in the Sanlam benchmark, and that research shows that as much as people are aware that they need financial advice, they need financial education, I think the extent that they were aware of was close to 70%. But where they actually get that given to them, I think it was to the tune of 14%. So we're saying these opportunities are not being used adequately. So we know what the right thing to do is as an industry, but we're not actually adequately using that. And we're not, if you look at all of the research that will be done by different players in the industry, it says that we're underinsured, we are underutilizing all of these products that we have that are available to us. But where there's that employer that can make it so much easier for people to access, we're even underutilizing that. So that's what we're really pointing as part of the opportunity that we could be using far better than what we currently are.
Yeah, underinsured, undersaving, everything.
Absolutely.
Just not doing enough of all the things that we should be doing.
Yeah.
But I mean, just you talk about, financial education. Why is financial education so hard to come by, and particularly through the workplace?
I think, so the thing is, it shouldn't be, because most of the funds that we have, they do make it available.
And the products are there.
The products are there. But there's lots of beliefs that people might have about financial education. They might think that it's too expensive. They might think that I'm not quite ready to be using this. Maybe I need to be earning a certain amount in order to be someone who can consider using it. But that's the thing, is that you need it at any level where you are, because whatever decisions you're making financially would benefit from you speaking to the expertise, because The thing that is playing out is that people are using Google, they're using their uncle, they're using all sorts of sources for this information that puts them at a disadvantage, and they end up with outcomes that are less than desirable. So definitely there's financial advisors that are appointed in a lot of funds that people should be using. So it's about making sure that we make the process to use them so much easier as an industry, so that people are benefiting from this, and it becomes easier for them to access without necessarily needing to jump through a lot of hoops.
Well, I mean, then just talk to us then about, the processes and the frameworks that should be available for people to be able to access, the right financial education, the right financial advice from reputable players in the industry. Because as you're saying, people are going on Google. There's a whole big landscape of social media influencers as well. Some of them are well versed in these topics. Some of them are not. So what kind of frameworks and processes then need to be in place so that people can actually access the right information from the right people?
Yeah, I can tell you a little bit about what we do, how we've structured it is, so when you join a fund, so if you were, let's say there's a fund that your employer has, so Business Day's got a fund, as you join, in that instance, we speak to you at the time of onboarding, where we tell you about the opportunities and the options that you have
already
in terms of how,
in
so
the
at that very moment,
yes,
because it's quite important for you to have the information throughout the time that you are using these financial products, because if we're talking about we need you to be saving enough so that you are able to retire comfortably.
Yes.
It's important that we start that conversation early so that you can benefit from that time that you'll be in the fund. If we tell you too late when you're close to retirement, that's too late for you to be able to do something that can change that. So if you're saving enough at the very beginning of your career, that's an important conversation to have. What we also do is that throughout your time, as your life is changing, maybe you're having children, maybe you're changing jobs, and sometimes you're thinking about withdrawing from Two-Pot because you're hearing all the news talking about Two-Pot. This is the opportunities that we'd use to talk to you about what the implications of this, the tax that you'll pay if you do this, and what that means, what taking that 15,000, 20,000 that you're withdrawing, what it means for your ultimate outcomes in the end, because sometimes people don't really realize this connection between the actions that you're doing now and how that's going to affect the income that you'll be earning post-retirement. So it's about making you see that yes, there might be a need right now, that maybe you're wanting to consume something that you want to buy right now, but what is it coming at the cost of? Because once people realize the implications of their decisions, they tend to think a bit differently about it. So it's about also looking at what are the opportunities that you can use in your finances to close the gap that you wanted to close when you were looking at the opportunity that you're looking at, that you wanted to spend on. So it's about doing that. So we do that throughout your life. So as you come to us, we speak to you. If we can pick up that there's a change, maybe you are going through a life stage change, we'll reach out to you and have those conversations. So I think those are the opportunities. But players in the market, they can choose how they do those engagements that they do with members. It's definitely, ours is not the only way that you can do it. They can choose how to, but it's about making sure that people are getting that access. That's the most important thing. It's about saying that the industry needs to move beyond just the policy rhetoric and actually saying, how do we make this happen? And I think also what's quite important is to make it accessible, like I said. So if there's, you find that your members they speak different languages. They might not be as comfortable to use maybe digital platforms. Maybe they prefer to speak to someone on the phone. So those kind of tools are some of the levers that you can pull in order to make sure that that access is remaining there, and you don't have that obstacle that is maybe a digital interface, and an old man who works in a mine in Rustenburg can still be able to access this. So you don't make the points of access be the thing that actually hinders the access.
Okay, well, Lorraine, we do have to wrap up the conversation there. Of course, we will be looking out for more information as you engage in more meetings, particularly within the G20 and the B20. But I think really what stood out for me is that communication and education needs to be constant.
Yes, absolutely.
Throughout a person's evolution of their life. Thank you so much for your time and giving us insights on this very, very important topic. That was Lorraine Mekwa, member of the B20 Finance and Infrastructure Task Force and Managing Executive of Client Experience at Sanlam Corporate.